Hello nerds! Thank you for watching Generally Nerdy. This is your Week in Nerdom Supplemental Edition for the week of March 19th, 2018. And for those of you that don't know, if you're new to the channel, if you've just never seen a supplemental before, the supplemental version of the show is the catch-all. This is where stuff that doesn't fit in the other categories goes. This is where stuff that we need to update that we already talked about earlier in the week, but there's been an update to it that goes here. If I don't get enough bits of news in one of the other categories, instead of making a whole video, it goes here. So that's what this is, and let's jump into it real quick.
Quiet on the set, rolling.
Hi, I am Bitsy Telek.
Hey, I'm Hale Appleman.
I'm Walter Kane.
I'm Rene Aubergenois. Odo on Deep Space Nine.
Michael Dorn, Lieutenant Commander Worf, Star Trek The Next Generation.
Come and see me and hear me and talk to me and listen to me talk about myself.
Hey man, this is Kevin Smith, often considered generally nerdy, and you are listening to what is often considered generally nerdy.
On Generally Nerdy.
You're listening to
Generally Nerdy.
Generally Nerdy.
Generally Nerdy.
First on the list, we have an update to the Men in Black sequel we talked about this week in the movies episode. I put a little blurb about it in the description because it was updated as I was uploading, so we're going to talk about it right now. There have been some casting announcements and stuff that apparently, a couple of these I missed, but a couple of them didn't come out until just a couple days ago. So, no specifics on who they are going to be, but Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson are going to be leads in this new Men in Black sequel. The director is F. Gary Gray, who did The Fate of the Furious. We also have the script writer is Art Markham, and writers, I guess, is Art Markham and Matt Holloway, who previously wrote Iron Man. And then the original producers from the first three movies are back as producers. So that's our update for Men in Black. Next on the list, we're talking about some interesting stuff on YouTube. We got, I haven't seen it yet. I've just seen others who have been talking about it. YouTube is beta testing some new video modes. They have like a picture-in-picture kind of mode, which is similar to the mobile. These are all for desktop, by the way. Picture-in-picture is like in mobile, where when you go away from the video, it minimizes it, or shrinks it rather, so that it's a very small picture right about here. And the other thing is, the other beta, I guess, is more appropriate, is when you scroll down to read comments, or if you're looking at the other stuff to watch, then it shrinks it. I keep wanting to say minimize. Minimize is not what it does. It just makes it smaller, which technically speaking, yes, is minimization, but in digital speak, not really. So it shrinks the video so that it's a bar across the top, and in the bar you still have the option to subscribe, you can thumbs up, it has a little bit of the description of the video, at least the title, whereas in the picture-in-picture version, all you have is play, pause, and next. So it would appear both of these are possibly, you can watch whole playlists this way as well, so you can be doing other things while you have this video going. I can't imagine both of these are going to get rolled out properly. Likely one or the other, not both. I can't see them beta testing this and then not making them a real thing, so there is always that. Either way, I think it's really cool that they're constantly changing, and that's kind of, it's where we got to end that one, because it's all the opinion I have, because I haven't got to play with it. I don't know how useful either of them are. Next up, we're going to briefly talk about the Facebook issue. And so Mark Zuckerberg, in a recent interview with Recode, said that he apparently now needs to be the deciding voice on what is hate speech and what is not. I really don't think this is a necessary issue. Yes, there needs to be a little bit tighter security so that we don't have another Cambridge Analytica scandal happen. Sure, that's fine, but in this interview that he did with Recode, and then in a report from ProPublica very recently. I don't know exactly when this happened because I didn't write it down because, you know, who needs to know dates? But there was an issue with it because what ProPublica did was they took a search category, and Facebook's algorithm is pretty unique in that it recognizes hate speech, which is still freaking free speech, but it recognizes hate speech as if you threaten an entire group, then you're going to get flagged by the algorithm, and it's going to get deleted. So what ProPublica did was they typed in 3 different phrases. Basically, it was the same phrase, just with 3 different groups of people. One of them was women drivers, one of them was young black children, or just black children, because it's 2 words. It's a descriptor and then the group, right? So women drivers, black children, and white men, and the only one that got censored was white men. But in their report, because they know how the algorithm works, it's broken down so that if they had done, say, black women or black men, then the same thing would have happened to the white, that happened to the white men group. So they went in this with a pretty hard bias. They went in this with a very obvious agenda to fill, and they filled it because that was the structure through which they did this report. So I don't think that Mark freaking Zuckerberg is the be-all end-all for what is and is not hate speech. I'm passing this one off to you guys. Please, let's have this discussion about censorship. Next on the list, though, we're talking about Netflix and their new bug hunting program. It's not a program in that it's lines of code. It's a program in that if you are part of it, and you can go sign up, the website they're using is bugcrowd.com. bugcrow.com. If you go sign up there, there's other companies that use that as well. This is the one that Netflix is using. I believe Twitter is also using this one. There's a whole list of them. We'll get to that. But if you find a bug before it becomes a major issue, they pay you money. So you feasibly could make up to $15,000. I'm going to say that again. $15,000 for watching Netflix. Yes, that's right. The bug, what is it? It's called it's a bug bounty program. So previously it was restricted only to employees. They recently opened it up to the public, as long as you're part of the bugcrowd.com public. So when it was part of the employees only, that was their top payout, was $15,000. Their average payout is about $1,100, but still, that's $1,100 for, let's be real here. You're probably going to have to analyze lines of code, which you can do with most modern browsers, but still, that's a pretty good payoff. Even $1,100 for theoretically what could take you 20 minutes. It's not likely to take you that short amount of time, but it's possible. Other companies that use bug bounty programs, and this was totally news to me, Intel is part of it, Apple, Google, DJI, Twitter, and Samsung. All of those apparently are through bugcrowd.com. So you can find all of those, and there are other bug bounty websites that you can sign up to be part of, and other companies use those. So you could make money for being a good Samaritan. That's pretty cool. Next, we're talking about Meltdown Comics. Now, I don't generally single out any one comic book shop because they're comic book shops. But Meltdown Comics has been around for 25 years. They're in LA, or somewhere in California, SoCal. I believe it's LA. That is where, for those of you who've been watching this channel for a little while, we've talked about the Bat in the Sun productions, the superpowered beatdown videos. That is where they host those videos. That's obviously not where they shoot the videos, though I can't imagine it's too far if they do the hosting segments there. But that's where the superpowered beatdown guys are based out of. So they're losing their home. I feel like there's a larger conversation to be had here, aside from the bummer that the guys at Bat in the Sun Productions have to find a new place to host. This is indicative, like we saw last year with Comic-Con. We saw, or it might be they announced it for this year after last year's Comic-Con. But either way, Mile High Comics is no longer going to San Diego Comic-Con. That's not directly related, but still part of that larger picture of we've been seeing comic book sales decline. We've talked about that in the comics section. Are comic books dying? Those are the genesis of our nerd culture. That is, the popular nerd culture. As, again, patron Marty pointed out to me, nerds back, 30 years ago was slightly different. Sure, they read comic books and whatnot, but they also geeked out over like instruction manuals and tabletop. And I definitely plan on putting tabletop news into the gaming video. I just have yet to find a very good source for that. So either way, like, comic books was the gateway into mass popularity, mass attention. Let's use that word instead. And now they might be dying, or it might just be a switch to digital, because the Marvel digital platform's doing pretty well last time I checked. So that's a really interesting thing to see happen. I'm going to pass that off to you guys, though. Are comic books really dying, or is this just a natural transition from physical books to digital that literature has been making for the last little while as well? And then our last bit of news has to do with some stuff on the YouTubes. We got a new Nerdwriter video. I am a huge fan of the Nerdwriter. Nerdwriter 1, I'll put a link in the end of this video. This video is about Call Me By Your Name. Now, that's one of the few Oscar movies that I watched this year, and I thought it was okay, but like cinematography-wise, it was great. It was beautifully shot. This is one, Marty, if you're watching, you should definitely check this out, just for the shot-by-shot essence of it, not necessarily for the content of the movie, but like the cinematography in this movie was really good. And one of the things that I subconsciously noticed but didn't really pick out until Nerdwriter pointed it out was that the entire movie is shot on a 35mm camera, which is a 35mm lens, 35mm lens, which is what you approximate is the closest thing to the human eye. So we've talked about and we've analyzed different things about film before, and that's like the ultimate conversation with your audience. And I mean, he goes into great detail. Go watch Nerdwriter. This is a really fantastic video on a subject I didn't think I was really going to be interested in until he started breaking it down for me into things that I am interested in, like cinematography. So that, guys, is the end. Oh, wait. We have to remember the sponsor for this episode, just like the rest of the week, has been this General Lee Nerdy shirt, which you can go find over at punishshirt.com. Or if you leave a comment down low, you can win it for free. That we are giving away 2 of these t-shirts. You can win one for yourself. You're only going to win one per person, but you can enter 4 different ways. Details in the description. Again, punishshirt.com is where you can go buy it if you do not win. And we still have Dink Denver coming up next month and Starfest Denver coming up next month. So give me your ideas. You can do that in the comments or over on the website generallynerdy.net. Give me your ideas for an adventure in photography, some goals for those 2 nerd conventions. Again, the website is generallynerdy.net. You can check out all of the links to all of the social media up there. You can also join the conversation a little deeper up there and go to my stores where you can buy shirts. I'm not wearing the generallynerdy.net shirt right now, but I have plenty of shirts and, you know, stuff and things for you wonderful nerds to buy. Now, let's get to the end of the video. Thank you guys for watching all the way to the end. If you liked this episode, please click that like button. If you are new to the channel, please click the subscribe button. Don't forget to ring the bell so you get the reminders when I post these videos. I do post 6 videos a week, so that's every day except for Sunday. Unless you are not a patron, then that's every day except for Monday. If you want to be a patron, you can jump over to the Patreon page, patreon.com/generallynerdy. You can donate directly to the channel that way. You do get stuff for being a patron. All the tiers and everything is broken down on patreon.com/generallynerdy. If you are falling behind on your nerd news and you want to catch up, click or tap that box to the left of my face to do that. But before you go, guys, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.